said, no, I'm looking more at this. And then she showed me this penthouse in London, and then there was another apartment that was 5,000 a month.
Wow.
So well, that's great. So during the year, we'll get your, you need to work on your business. So then if you want to go to London and not live as a student, but live as a businesswoman, then you need to, we need to build your business over the next year and get you to that level. If that's what you want, that's coming from you. He's like, okay.
That's pretty cool that she has that desire.
Yeah, very exciting. It's just a great mindset, isn't it?
It is interesting. Because
that's flipped over the last few years for her, for the kids.
Yeah. Well, you're a big part of that, so it is so important that you just expose them to things as you have done, right? And just imagine, like, they're getting this stuff in their teens and their early 20s, right? And just it's
phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely phenomenal. So I appreciate you for that. Hey, I noticed your plaques in the back. Actually, we haven't done the intro. So we're streaming live on YouTube. So we're gonna do the intro, right? We're gonna do the intro, and I'm gonna stop recording, and then I'll start recording again. All right. And then we're gonna start. All right. Great morning, great afternoon, great night. My name is Ty Cohen, along with my amazing European baddie, all right, co-host Caroline Trainer. This is the Money Morning Meetup, and our goal is to bring you the best people, the best information that will help to take your life, your business, and you to the next level. And today we're going to be talking about some things that can hopefully do that. And if you have not already registered for Kindle Cashflow Live, it's coming up in just a few short weeks. Make sure you go over to kcflive.com and grab your ticket, kcflive.com. It's one of the best 3-day virtual events that you will ever attend. And I might be a little bit biased by saying that, right? Because it's always one of the best that I've attended. So make sure that you get your ticket. And speaking of that, Caroline, I was talking about your plaques in the back. So Zoltan's plaque is on its way, right? So I just got confirmation of that. Zoltan is at the gold level where he's making over $10,000 a month with Kindle publishing. So hopefully his plaque will be here by the time KCF Live kicks in. And then I got confirmation yesterday from Michael Lopez, who is going to be joining us at KCF Live. And as you guys know, he is rocking and rolling. Like, he is doing so well that he's quitting his job as a firefighter next month. I think it is next month.
Yeah, May, I think he said. Yeah, so almost next month. Yeah, fabulous.
Yep. So next month, right, absolutely. So you guys definitely, and we had Michael Lopez as a guest. Caroline brought him on, which I thought was fantastic, and he shared just some amazing nuggets. So we're going to have him on as not only a guest, but also as a coach for KCF Live. So some of you, not everyone, but some of you will get a chance to talk to Michael Lopez one-on-one, just as Caroline and I are talking right now. And then we'll also have our Ask the Expert session where he'll come on along with Coach Zoltan and Coach Caroline and Coach Sue White and Coach Jawar and everyone else. So it'll be a really, really cool event. Who here is signed up for KCF Live? Let us know in the chat box. Just put like me if you're signed up. I'm just curious as to who has already signed up. Christina, let's see who else. Betty Powell, Chris Bolden, Wendy Bolton. All right, Rhoda. All right, Rhoda, I like your name. It always reminds me of a show. Evelyn, Jennifer, Dr. Tiny. All right, so lots and lots and lots of people. Really cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's coming up really soon.
It's literally about 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so our quote for today is, let me just pull up my quote for today. I just shared this with my children this morning, and I actually shared this with my children. I also shared it with Marty and Josh and Lenny the boss, and Rodney, Coach Rodney, every morning as well. So let's see. Here it is. It is, if you set goals and go after them with all of the determination that you can muster, your gifts will take you places that will amaze you. And that's from Les Brown. If you set goals and go after them with all of the determination that you can muster, your gifts will take you places that will amaze you. So there you go. Very cool. So Caroline, how's your day going so far?
Yeah. Oh, I thought I was muted. Yeah, great today. Yeah, really great. And just excited for tomorrow now. So got to get through a lot of work today. Got a new series coming out. So we
Nice.
launched a new pen name. Or we're launching a new pen name, decided on definitely going to do that. So, and then as soon as I do that, I'm going to just do loads, just decided. So I'm really, I'm so geared up. It feels like day one in my business in a good way, not in terms of the knowledge that I had in day one, but in terms of the passion, everything that's happened over the last month. Can you believe it? 1 month, time flies.
It's been a month.
Still no word from Facebook. But everything that's happened over the last month has made me more determined and more excited. Excited about everything. You know, it's and just better technically, and also with some better, I mean, all of that is still being sorted, but some better systems in place. Yeah. So if it happens again, it won't be mass destruction. It will be one section, you know, and that's a really big thing. And I will do some training on this. I have learned so much.
You're an expert, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we're live, aren't we? I won't say that. Yeah, I've learned so much, and it's just been I'm really grateful for the experience. But it made me see a lot about myself. But the other thing that I was saying to the kids, and I know I've said this before on an MMM, this is so powerful. I said, if it ever happens again, and they take 100,000, it's going to be, damn, you know, rather than the way that I reacted over a smaller amount, still significant. But and so that was the work for me, that how can I build something bigger and a bigger machine so that it won't affect so many things if a portion was taken away. So yeah, I don't even feel angry anymore. I actually feel quite grateful for the experience, because it's been character building, and it sort of helps I think every time you have different experiences that don't go the way that you want them to go, they sort of just add to that resilience muscle, don't they? Which you need. So I had a great meeting yesterday with the president of this an audio book company and a publishing company, that's the link with the other, you know, all the other stuff that I've been talking about on here. And it just went so well. I was completely, you know, I thought I was confident anyway, but I just nailed this meeting. Wow. And it by the end of the meeting, we'd left it with, you know, just let's just take all the work, and don't give it to anyone else, type thing. So it's very good. So it's amazing how it can either sort of, obviously it's not going to break, it wouldn't break any of us, something like that. It's not as big a deal as it probably felt at the time, but I think it's whenever anything happens, whether it's someone just leaving your team, or somebody, if it's business related, or somebody doing something, or people get scammed all the time, don't they? Similar sort of thing. Then if you can sort of look at all the positive aspects, it can actually get you to really upskill in some interesting areas. So yeah, I'm feeling really good, really great about the rest of this year, because I know now what's going to happen. We've actually just started running ads, not from me, but from a team member's account, because every time I try and put Caroline back on Facebook, she gets suspended.
Oh wow.
So I might go back on as Caroline Desange, but I'm not even sure. Yeah, they just sort of throw me out. And so I was talking to Zoltan about this, and he said that's quite normal while your account's in pending, so you might just want to leave it. But the good news is, I know what I can earn without ads, so that's helped me to be better, to teach people how to build the business with no budget.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't run ads. I was running a few Amazon ads, but only little ones. And it's also made me see what's going to happen now ads are back on. So that's just going to be with the launch of a new book. So if it had to happen at some stage, it happened at the best time, because it didn't happen for the first time ever in the business. I've had 1 month when I didn't publish, while we were teasing the audience to the next book. I've never done that before. So I'm doing a bit of experimenting. And it happened during that month. So that was great. It didn't affect a book launch, not being able to put anything on it. So yeah, it's a really great thing, and it's just it'll help me to become a better teacher to help others.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
I think that this is perfect for today's topic, because we were talking about, so today, last week, we gave you guys homework, right? Like, what's holding you back? Like, what's holding you back mentally? What's holding you back from like on the personal development side of things? When I say what's holding you back, it could be anything. What's holding you back from doing whatever it is in your head that you say you want to do, whatever it is that you say you want to accomplish, right? The goals that you may have set for yourself, the desires that you might have, and you just haven't pushed on them, or you haven't pushed on them hard, right? As hard as you should. Like, what's holding you back? So I want to open up the mic and kind of talk about that. But before, let's give this whole topic a little bit more context. So for you, Caroline, going through everything that you've gone through, right? And I have no doubt that you will be bigger and better than ever. And I think that this year is the year, over the next couple of months, is when you see that exponential growth. I was just talking to someone on Monday who just had something, something like major, I can't even explain it, happened to him and his business. I'm talking about like life-changing. And the guy's like, for the last year, I have not been able to sleep properly. For the last year, that's how huge it is. And then he said something to me, and I'm like, man, how has this affected things for you? And he told me about some ways that it's affected not only him, but also other people that he knows in his personal life, right? So his family and things like that, relationships. And then he says, but this will make me so much stronger and bigger and better than ever. Right? He's like, I wish it never happened. I wish it wouldn't have happened. I don't wish this on anyone. And then as he's telling me about everything, I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling super sorry for the guy. And he says, this is going to make me bigger and better than ever. And, I kind of shared the Napoleon Hill quote that I always share with you guys. With every opportunity, with every adversity comes an equal or better opportunity. And he's like, absolutely, I needed to hear that, because that's the direction that I'm moving in. So someone was asking, how do you get suspended from Facebook? Well, there's two things. There's some things that you can intentionally do, right? Like trying to game the system. But then there's also times when you get suspended by Facebook, whether it's your personal account or your business account, like your personal Facebook profile or your Facebook ad account that can get suspended, and you have no idea why it's happened. I've had my personal Facebook account suspended twice, meaning just the profile where I go in and I post to over the years. But my Facebook ad accounts I've had suspended maybe between myself and team members, probably about 12 times over the years. And it speaks to what you said, right? So the first time it happened, I'm like panicked. I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And it's, I'm not sleeping and everything else. Second time it happened, it becomes a little bit easier to deal with. Now, the most recent time, I'm like, I don't even have time for this right now. I'm not gonna even deal with it until next week. Right? And my wife's like, that's a big difference, because I remember the first time it happened. So these things that happen sometimes in life, and I'm not just talking about having a Facebook ad account suspended. It helps you to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we wish that they never would happen, right? I mean, ideally, they shouldn't have to happen. But they do help build you. And I have a quote and on my goal sheet that I always read off to myself. And it is just a reminder whenever things that happen will happen. And it says, I'm actually kind of trying to find it. It says, oh, here it goes. It's never, I don't know if you guys can see it at the very top, right? But it says, it's never the situation. These are just, I got about a million goals and things I read off to myself every morning and afternoon. But it's never the situation, but rather how you react to the situation.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder to myself, when things go wrong, whether it's, something wrong has gone wrong in business, or whether I wake up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning with my chest on fire because I'm having a sickle cell anemia attack and my wife got to rush me to the emergency room, right? It's never the problem. It's how you react to the problem. And I think that what happens is over time, as you have more and more problems, that sounds weird even saying it. Because it's like, hey,
the bigger you get, the more, which is why, I keep thinking, oh, I'm glad, it means that I'm worth hacking. Because the account was the Facebook personal profile went, the ad account, everything went. He intercepted everything, and email. It was a biggie. Or when I say he, I mean they. But there weren't days when I reacted that well. I cried, I swore, I ran around the house like a lunatic. It makes me laugh how I the impact on the finances has impacted a planned trip that we had, and that's why it's made me a bit like your friend, and it's like smaller scale obviously, but it's made me more determined. So it's sort of, I might have had a mini reaction at the time, but then it leads to determination. Okay, it's a bit like, if you don't want to pay so much tax, then make sure that you are paying $1 million in tax. It means you're wealthy. If for me, if 10,000 hit me like it did, then make sure that I've got reserves of 100,000 before I start crying about that. That might come back. I'm sure it will, but the longer I wait for it to come back on Facebook, the longer it's taking, which is why it's a month on. So it's sort of like, how am I going to react now? What am I going to do now? Okay, there's lots of things I could still do while this is in sort of limbo. But it also, there's two things I want to say, just sort of because people keep messaging, and loads of people are direct messaging me, so they might not have heard this story before. I will do a session at some stage. I'm not going to do anything sort of urgently, because I'm really priority for me is obviously doing the events with Ty, and then I'm launching pen names, so I'm really going to get busy in the business. So I'm not going to do anything extra, but in a fast pass session, I'll do a training on this. I'll probably put it out to everyone. But one of just a couple of simple things, make sure on your Facebook, everyone, you've got 2-factor authentication on. I did have it. These people, I think they can, there's loads of articles. If you actually look up the name of the person that hacked, it's not them, they use somebody else's profile. They're able to intercept the authentication. However, you can put extra recovery codes on top of that. So you can set up it through an app as well as your phone, and then you can, so just go into your Facebook accounts and everything. Actually, I just did this with MailerLite, everything. So I don't want anyone taking my list. It's taken 3. That's more important to me than anything, that list. So
you guys should be backing up your list, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You should be paranoid about backing up your list, because it is, it's your income. So
and so it's that and that. I know we're gonna move on from this, but make sure, as a quick fix, make sure your 2-factor authentication is on. You've got a bigger risk if you've got a lot of followers and you've got a public profile, because then you look interesting to hack. So sometimes being low key, I was very low key when I was building. Being low key is not a bad thing for a while, because the bigger you get and the more people that follow you, the more I'm not going to say vulnerable, but the more of a target,
the more appealing you look.
And then they can see you've got effective ad accounts. So the next thing is just make sure that you've got an infrastructure in place where you can run ads from others. I could have done it with Anisha's account, but she's away a lot. Maliha, I tried to run ads through her account, but she's not 18 and they wanted ID. for her. So we've got to wait for her. So but now I have an infrastructure in place where I've got backups.
Yeah.
I've even got a backup profile, but it isn't, it's a legitimate one, but it's one for my author name. So it's just those sorts of things to just protect yourself. Just make sure that 2-factor is on everything you can put it on.
Yeah.
And just obviously write your passwords down. Have a password vault, which is normally safe. Like I used LastPass, and so there are other ones. It's those sorts of things, and just make sure that you've got procedures in place, like we all talk about. So as you get bigger, your team all need to be aware of all these sort of contingency procedures and things. And when I said, I think when you mentioned about suspended, the reason why they keep throwing me off is probably just because I'm coming in as the same name, and that account's being hacked. So they're probably just rejecting everything.
And a lot of this stuff is automated, right? So there's not an actual
it's
human.
Just a robot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just the
Everything
bot.
is automated. That's it.
100%. Yeah.
And
so
the
that's
same,
that. But
like you'll see with like Facebook. I mean, before Facebook advertising, I used to advertise on Google. So Google advertising was the big thing. I mean, it's still a big thing, but it was a big thing. And oh my God, it's the same. You would get shut down. I remember doing really well with Google ads and then getting shut down. And with Google at that time, it was impossible to get back in. Like it literally took me years. It took me about 4 years to get back into my Google advertising account. And at that time, that's when Facebook advertising was coming in. And it wasn't just me, it was just so many advertisers. But it's the game, right? Listen, the individual that I was talking to on Monday, over the last 3 years, his business has made $65 million. That's totally been at risk. $65 million over the last 3 years. And
wow.
And he didn't get hacked, but this was another situation. I'm not at liberty to share what it is, but totally wiped out his business, right? And he's saying, this is going to make me bigger and better than ever. Right. And my wife and I were talking about it, and we're like, man, that would crush anyone else. Right. But having the attitude of, listen, having a positive attitude of, listen, this is Grant Cardone talked about when 2008, 2009 hits. Who here is familiar with Grant Cardone? And some people like him. 50% of the people that know about him like him, love him. 50% hate him. Right. 50% think that he's the best thing ever. 50% think he's a scam artist. I kind of like the guy. I think he offers a lot of value in what's possible, right? Because he went from nothing to a billionaire in a very short period of time. But he says that in 2008, 2009, he lost everything. So Grant Cardone is a real estate investor. He lost everything. The banks called his notes, banks called his loans. He says maybe about 50 million in debt to the banks because of real estate and everything else. And, he looked at his wife and he's like, I just need to be bigger. I need to be bigger. And he was 51 or 52 years old when he started that, when that happened, right? 51 or 52 when that happened. Most people at 40, 45, 50, they think that it's too late to start all over. Right. That's exactly what he said.
That's insane. That's amazing.
He's like, I need to go so big so that 50 million looks small. It's kind of what you just said. I need to go so big that the next time something like this happens, a financial crisis, the banks will be afraid of calling my loans, because calling my loans will also cause them a lot of headache and trouble, right? So now he has over $1 billion.
In just 15 years.
Yeah.
Only 15 years ago.
And just 15 years ago, right? Well, he's 67 now, and he is one of the hardest working guys that I know, right?
Is he 67? Wow.
He just had a birthday. He doesn't look 67, right? No. He just had a birthday a couple of weeks ago, I saw online. But
that's it. That's incredible. And it's the same. How many guests? It's just made me think. How many guests have we had on here? that talk about in 2008, I lost everything.
Yeah.
And now 15 years later, they're standing, and they've been standing like this for a while in complete abundance.
Yeah.
Dr. Anil Gupta is a great example of that. It was just 2008, just 15 years ago.
Suicide, right? Which is, geez,
and that inspired him then to go on to his love work, and his wife's reaction. I mean, wow, what a woman. And he shared that with us. That's just 15 years ago. 15 years ago is not very long at all. And it's encouraging to think that, when this all happened to people, they weren't 18, and with Grant, for example, being 52, that's really, that's a big bolt of confidence for everyone, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people here starting these sorts of businesses in midlife, if you want to call it midlife, but sort of 50s onwards, and it's amazing how many, and Les Brown and the video that we've shared before about when he owed the IRS millions.
Steve Harvey.
Oh yeah, what did I say? Les Brown. Yeah, sorry, Steve Harvey. Yeah.
And look, me owing the IRS 400,000 around that time, right? And
that would freak me out.
This is crazy. I'm going to get a job at Walmart, right?
But it's that as well. But it's just so interesting because there's no coincidence that these stories are out there and they're real, and that should be, whatever people are going through, whether it's personal or business, that should be great encouragement. And people sometimes look at people like Dr. Love and like Grant Cardone and like you, and they think, but I'm not like that. Everyone's got the power to overcome everything. They've just got to work on that self every single day. But and then when I'm stood here talking about this, it's just baby steps compared to all of that. And that's the key, right? I just need to get bigger. And then the fear goes away, doesn't it? And I think sometimes when you go through something big where it goes away completely, and some of these other examples we've used, that can lead to the most incredible confidence, because you don't fear it anymore, because you know that if it goes away, you can get it back.
And then the next thing, right? Because there will be a next thing. There will be a next thing. Every single person that's on here, I'm telling you right now, don't be afraid of running your Facebook. We're just giving you, some of our experiences. Never be afraid of running your Facebook ads. Never be afraid of maybe my Facebook account might get shut down. The individual I was talking to on earlier this week, right, whose business is at risk here. He said, I got so big that it wasn't a matter of if it will happen, but rather when it was going to happen. He's like, Ty, listen, because I'm asking him, like, what do you think, caused this? He was like, listen, dude, I knew, I got so big that it wasn't a matter of if it will happen, but when it will happen. And I think that there's two things that keep people from really going hard. And the first is fear of failure, right? I'm going to try this thing, and what if it doesn't work out? Whether we're saying that to ourselves directly or indirectly. And in most cases, it's happening indirectly, right? Subconsciously. I'm going to try this thing, and what if it doesn't work out? Right? I'm going to look like an idiot, especially if you express, some of your goals to people. Oh my God, I look like an idiot, right? And then the other thing is fear of success. What happens if I try this thing and it actually does work? What happens if I get so big? Now, how will people look at me? What are some of the problems that I'm going to have to deal with? Well, I got news for you. You're going to have to deal with problems regardless. Regardless of if you just do nothing but sit on the couch all day, you're going to have, your problems might be problems that manifest in your body, right? You're inactive, your muscles, your body, your inner system starts to atrophy. Guess what? That's going to lead to problems. So regardless of it, and it gets much easier as you get bigger. I don't work anywhere near what I used to work before, right? It gets much easier as you start to get bigger, because now you have just a bunch of different things that can help you out, including people and systems and processes, and then how you're thinking about the problems, right? Because it's never a problem. It's always how you react to the problem.
And there's nothing like a catastrophe to make you see who your great people are in your life.
Yes.
After this, there's people, obviously you're included, and many people here that I just want to keep in my life forever, whatever I'm doing, because it just makes you really appreciate how incredible people are. And the majority are, you know, they can't think of anyone that wasn't. And so many people sort of stepped up in the team. But I think it's all, and I think when it's fabulous because it just helps you know that contrast is going to happen. It's just a way of life, but humans have it, you know. Whether that means somebody that you love departing, or, you know, one day we will, and, you know, all the inevitable things that are going to happen, whether you like them or not. But then it's and if you just know that's just part of life, and, you know, when something happens and hits, I'm going to light a candle and take a few deep breaths rather than run around the house and cry, that's going to create a better result than the other. I mean, who knows? I mean, everything's on scales as well, because but I guess when you just get bigger, it just gets all relative, doesn't it? Because it just gets relative, and it just becomes, okay, this is a bigger problem because it's more money and more systems, but I've got more people to help. And sometimes it's a lot easier. But I think it's a great, having that contrast for all of us in our lives is a great way of eradicating fear. So when the fear goes, you can literally do anything. You just become supernatural then in terms of what you can do. It's in terms of the magic that you can create. So that's why often when you get success, you often get the contrast before it. I've seen it with everyone in our community. Michael's had contrasts all the time. We've all had it. And then you know, obviously then you become more grateful for your success, but also you can think about all the tools and resilience that you build to get there. Then we can help others when they're starting the business to know what to do when they approach things like that happening. Hopefully it won't, but, you know, different things happen for different people. Yeah, it's fabulous.
100%. And I think that was great what you just said, because you know, different things do happen to different people. Sometimes the same thing may happen. Listen, for you, it may not be your Facebook ad account, right? It may be something else. Maybe your Amazon account. My Amazon Kindle publishing account has gotten suspended before. That was not only once, but multiple times, right? That was a nightmare. I was using VPNs, and I'm using mini laptops, and, you know, I'm publishing from like Panera Bread or Starbucks, and it was just a nightmare at that time. So, but it's all part of the course, right? Things are going to happen. So it's never the problem. It's always how you react to the problem. The other thing is, I think that we all, does anyone, let's have a moment of honesty here. And I hate saying that because it seems like, oh, so everything else was not honest, right? But let's have a moment of honesty here. Who here fears something going wrong in your business or in your personal life? Who here fears, like, every once in a while you'll get these thoughts that, oh my God, I hope that doesn't happen. Or, oh my God. I have them like on both the personal side as well as the business side. I believe that we are always manifesting for the good or bad, right? I believe that I was at a mastermind over the weekend, and it was just all guys that were doing some really huge things, like in the daycare space. One of the guys has a couple of daycare facilities. Another one is big in the real estate space. Another one is big in the hair care space. And we were joking around, as guys can sometimes when you get together, right? We revert back to being 13-year-olds. And one of the guys said something, and I'm like, that does not apply to me, because we're always manifesting for good or bad. And after 3 or 4 negative things coming up, like, hey, be careful, don't like, we were running across the street to go ride go-karts, and it's like, oh my God, be careful, you don't want to get hit by a car. And I'm like, that does not happen to me. I feel empathy for anyone that it does happen to. But I'm not even thinking about those things, because you're always manifesting for the good or bad, right? And I said that maybe about 5 or 6 times over the 4-day period that we were together. And one of the guys said to me, after like the 3rd day, he's like, man, you really believe this stuff, huh? And I'm like, absolutely. Because I've seen it too many times. The things that you think about over and over and over and over again, for the good or bad, tend to manifest at some point. So I've learned to block them out, right? When those thoughts come up, cancel or switch it. right, to another thought. And the thing about that is probably one of the most challenging things that you can ever do. And that is conditioning your mind to recognize when the negative thoughts come up, the thoughts that you don't want to appear in your life, and to spot them and say, you know what, cancel. That's not what I want.
Is that what you say? Roshan's asking, how do you switch that on demand? So do you actually say cancel? No, moving on.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. Right. So, and then I also incorporate them in my goals, right? So for example, right, I'll incorporate them in the positive sense in my goals. So part of, I'm going to read off something. Maybe I'll share it with you guys here. I'm going to go back to my goal sheet real quick, and I want to.
Yeah, please do. It's really helpful for people.
Right. So here is. So whenever I get a negative thought about life and how long either me or my children will be on this earth, right? I will go in, I'll read off my goal of having my wife and all 4 of my children celebrating my 100th birthday together, right? Having sickle cell, one of the things that you hear all the time is that you won't have a long life, right? As many of you guys know, I was told that I wouldn't live past the age of 17. And then you see a lot, I talk to a lot of people that have sickle cell and I help them cope. And you see a lot of moms that have lost their kids at 12 or 13 years old. I've got a picture of a girl who died at 8 years old 2 years ago on Mother's Day, who had sickle cell anemia, right? So you see all of this people dying at 21, 30 and 40 and 50 and things like that. So I keep, whenever I have those thoughts of, man, how much longer will I be here? I read off this that I just shared with you. All right. Me, my wife, Melida, and all 4 of my children, Maya, Devon, Tyler, and Summer, will all celebrate my 100th birthday together, somewhere warm and tropical. And then now I go into detail. Melida will be 93. She's 7 years younger than me. Maya will be 74, which is, it feels weird to even look at how old your kids will be, right? When you're at a certain age. Devon will be 73. Tyler will be 68. Summer will be 64. So that's part of what I read off to myself whenever I get this. Oh my God, Ty, how much longer will you be on this earth? Right. So that's just one example of a negative thought popping up. So just counter that. Right.
Yeah.
And then I go in detail with it.
Yeah, I do something similar. And then I like the whole sort of cancel and distract. So you're not going to prevent them from coming up, these crappy thoughts that don't serve us. And all I say is, I don't do the cancel, but I like it 'cause it's quick. But all I say is, oops, is that thought going to serve me? Is that thought moving me to happiness or moving me away from happiness?
Yeah.
Or there you go, imposter thoughts. The other thing that I heard somebody say recently, someone on YouTube, was how when we think about ego, which is fear, worry, doubt, blah, all of those things, guilt, anger, just sort of visualize yourself, the way you look, as this tiny little green gremlin going, ah. Because that's what it is. And then so that's all the things that sort of worry, the fear, the being scared all the time type stuff, is this I'm gonna get you, and they're all green and slimy. And then your real self, your soul, your inner being is, and then you can picture them looking however they look. Mine's just like long white boots and really amazing sort of queen, and so you visualize, and that gives you that automatic power, and that quick sort of visualization can really makes you laugh, but it really helps you snap out of the fear, and or whatever it is, the anger, or what, you're feeling bad about somebody and someone's annoyed you, feeling defensive. That's ego. That's about you, not them. And it's again that sort of gremlin, this tiny little green slimy thing, that's a miniature version of me. I thought that was a really nice image. If you're visual, I'm very visual. If you're visual, that's a great one, I think, to use. And yeah, Krista said, Marissa Peer suggests imagining a tiny puppet of Tweety Pie or Donald Duck sitting on your thumb criticizing you. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, wonderful.
And it's whatever works, right? So there's so many different ways to, like, the number one thing is working on consistently monitoring your thoughts and your actions. You're not going to cover everything, right? We have thousands, and some people say tens of thousands of thoughts that happen every single day. And the majority of those are repeated day after day after day after day. But you can start to counter those, right? Just being, oh my God, here I am doing it again. No, that's not what I want. And then you just go in and you visualize the opposite of what you want, right? So for me, let's say if it was a thought of me being in hospital and dying and from sickle cell anemia crisis or whatever it might be, like when that happens, I'm instantly countering it. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to be celebrating my 100th birthday, and Maya's going to be there, and Dagon's going to be there, and Tyler's going to be there. And we're going to be laughing and joking, and, you know, it's going to be nice and warm somewhere, right? So countering that thing. Here's the thing. No one is exempt from the negative thoughts. It's going to be different from everyone. Some of you guys might have 5, 6, 7 different ones, right? It might be business related, it might be personal related. But the way the mind works, it is so interesting that and think about this, that we have more automatic negative thoughts than we have automatic positive thoughts, right? Almost everyone. So, and it's the folks that, I think it's dangerous to allow those automatic negative thoughts to just continue to run on autopilot without monitoring them, without countering them, right? That's what it's dangerous.
And Janine said, watch out for those thoughts when you're tired and have to keep pushing through. They love to torture you in those moments. Yeah. Very, very true, isn't it? And that's the point. It's like, okay, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to bed because these thoughts aren't serving me, because they do, don't they? They creep up when it's dark, when it's quiet, and when your vibes down because you're exhausted or, you know, tired or whatever. Yeah.
Or watch some comedy. Like when I'll put on some comedy, right? There's a show that I like to watch. It's called Impractical Jokers. It is the Impractical Jokers. It's 4 guys and they're just going around New York City and other places playing jokes on people. It's the silliest thing. But I'm guaranteed to laugh whenever I'm having a day that might be a tough day, whenever it might be a day where I just go in, I'll turn this thing on for 10 minutes. And you get these incredible smiles and laughs, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. Right. And then it just takes you out of that state. So all of this stuff is all about state changing. Right. Whatever it may be, whether it's you're jumping up and you're doing some jumping jacks. If the other day I was so freaking tired when I woke up in the morning. And what was yesterday? So yesterday was Thursday. So my gym days are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and then the weekends. Right. But there was no way that I felt like going to the gym yesterday. And because I absolutely did not feel like going, I rushed and I went in, I put my gym clothes on, I told Mel, I'm like, I'm out. And the gym is like 20 minutes away from me. We also have a gym here, but there's just something about being in proximity of other people that are working out and that are motivated and doing things. So I jumped in the car, went straight to the gym. And there was a reason why I forced myself to go. I met a gentleman there that I had seen working at the gym, and this guy has the body that I want. Right? You ever see somebody who has the body that you want, right? So I've seen him there before, and typically people are always coming up to him asking him questions. And I can only imagine they're asking him, workout questions like, what are you doing? How do you get that body, right? And everything else. So I'm like, I don't want to go up and be the guy that's always asking questions. Poor guy can't even work out. So today I walk into the gym. Who's there? He's right there in my path as I'm working. I'm like, man, you got the body that I want. How the hell did you get my body? I want it back, right? So I'm making light jokes with him. He's like, guy, you're already like a thin guy. You don't have to do a lot of stuff, right? Here's what you need to do. He says, you're working out the wrong way. Instead of working out fast, you need to take the light and right approach. And then I'm like, well, what's light and right? He says light exercises, but doing them the right way. So slow so that your muscles can feel the burn. right? And he says, most people come in and he says, I see people that will come in here and they're working out for an entire year and there's no difference in their body because they're doing it the wrong way. So just from that, and he shared some other things with me, like his diet and things like that. Some of the stuff that he eats is, it's definitely not going to go on my plate. But if I had not pushed myself and changed the thoughts and said, you know what, I'm going to go, I would have not talked to him in that way. No, it wasn't that. Yeah. It definitely wasn't asparagus, right? So sometimes you, just by countering the thoughts in your head and pushing past them, you end up having one of the best days ever. So I went to the gym. It changed the endorphin level in me. It gave me the energy that I needed, right? Without the caffeine or anything else like that. And I'm walking away. I'm walking out of the gym in just this incredible state. So it was a state change from being tired. There's no way I want to go to the gym. It's not happening today. I had the devil on both shoulders. You know, sometimes you have a devil on one side and then the angel on the other side.
Sometimes they're on both, yeah.
Oh my God, he was on both shoulders and it was a day for me. And I'm like, oh my God, if I sit here and I let this thing go for more than 3 minutes, I'm not going to go to the gym. So instantly like that.
And that's why you did. And that conversation would never have happened. And now you know why everyone asks him questions.
Right.
I'm sure it doesn't work there.
What's that?
Are you sure it doesn't work there?
I don't think so. But I mean, I just have notes and notes and notes. And he's like, I mean.
But that's why you meant to have that conversation. It was you didn't have to go up to him. It was an easy conversation. You know, I want people to know, and I'm sure people do know, about how incredibly, ridiculously powerful we are with those thoughts. You know, you're even just that one act that day will have helped the resilience the next time you go and you don't want to go. You'll think, well, you know what happened last time, it was really helpful. He's just saved you a year, months of doing the wrong thing and
probably
getting you closer to the body that you want, you know, or that you think you want, or what, or, you know, because obviously it was complimentary. But you know, I was thinking, we went to see a film a while ago. It was when the day that George came over, weeks ago, when all this stuff happened. And one of my favorite actresses, I'm just going to say that, was in this movie, and she's a BAFTA award. She's very, very famous. And she's just fabulous. And I've seen so many of her films. And I was just thinking about her the other day, and I said to Maliha, do you know what, Maliha? I sat next to her once on the London Underground. Years ago, like 15 years ago, and I like, hi, you know, and she's so nice. And I had that conversation with Maliha yesterday. That's all I did. I didn't care, you know, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big conversation. I just didn't care. I said, gosh, she's so lovely, you know, and then when I had this meeting yesterday with my friend in the US that's helping me with all this publishing stuff, he said that he's working with a very exciting top actress who's going to be narrating or he's talking in talks. I'm going to be really careful what I say here, because we're live, but in talks, not on my work, but on some other work.
Wow.
And I said, oh wow, who is it? You know, can you tell me? He said, yeah, you know, this is who we're in talks with her agent at the moment. I'm like, it's her. I was just talking about her to Maliha the other day. Said, yeah, and if I can pull this off, I'll want to make sure that I'm creative director on the audio side. So I'll be coming over to London. So I'll make sure you get to meet her.
We're always manifesting.
That's how powerful we are.
Yeah. We're always manifesting for the good or for the bad.
Yeah. So think about what you think about.
There you go. So with that said, hey, let's make this a homework for next week, right? So the homework is to go in and monitor your thoughts over the next couple of days until we get back not until we get back. You don't stop on Monday, but monitoring your thoughts over the next couple of days going into the weekend, right? And then just also monitoring when the most destructive and negative thoughts tend to take place. Is it when you're alone? Right? Is it when you're tired? Is it the first thing in the morning? Is it at night? Because I think it's really important to also start to pay attention to when things are happening. Because now we can expect those. We say, you know what? in the morning, I tend to have these negative thoughts more than I do in the afternoon. So what happens now, you start to set your environment up so that in the morning, you can counter them before they even happen. All right. So monitor your negative thoughts. And then let's talk about on Monday, what will we do to change those things? Like, what do we do? What's the negative thought? So for my example, the negative thought of not living long, right? And this is crazy because there used to always be this thought of, man, well, I'm going to probably die in my 20s. Then when I got in my 30s, I'm like, okay, well, this is it. I got probably, I'm not going to see 40s. Then when I got 40s, right, I changed it. I'm like, no, absolutely. I'm on this thing for as long as the ride is going to go, right? But every once in a while, guess what? The negative thought creeps up. So now I have the counter of me and my family celebrating my 100th birthday, right? And how they're going to look. I'm like, damn, Tyler, you're going to look funny as hell at 68, right? You're this big football player now, but at 68, how are you going to look, right? So I have that whole vision in my head there. And we actually talk about these things. So making it even realer, right? So there you go.
Yeah. And not beating yourself up when those thoughts come on. So you say, okay, it's understandable that I might have these thoughts now and again because of what I've been told, because of what has happened to other people with this. But I know
because you're human.
Because you're human, and whatever it is, and we've all got them. But now I know different.
Yeah.
Now I know that I create my reality. Now I know that everything is well-being abounds, and all of those things. So I think that's the thing as well, isn't it? Or else, because you can go around going, because I used to do, when I learned about all this law of attraction stuff, I went around going, cancel, oh God, don't think that. Yeah. Oh God, it's so negative. So you think, you can then sort of beat yourself up. So I now I say, okay, it's understandable that I'm feeling like that. However, I now know differently. Is this thought going to help or is it going to hinder? And so it's being kind to yourself. Okay, it's understandable that I'm feeling crappy, or it's understandable I'm not feeling great today. But then this is what I'm going to do about it. And that's the key, isn't it? That's like the whole being kind to you thing, to yourself. It's understandable I don't want to go to the gym because it requires loads of effort.
I got to get in the car.
20-minute drive.
Yeah.
And you've always got so much to do. I've just sent you a message with what the homework is, Ty. So we've both got that set up for Monday.
Okay, perfect. You sent it on Slack.
Yeah, so we're going to all make a note, monitor. Yeah, sent it to you on Slack. Monitor your thoughts over the next couple of days. Monitor when those destructive thoughts take place. Is it in the morning, night, lunchtime, and ways to counter them. And what will we do to change these things, these thoughts?
Yeah. And what are the thoughts, right? And I like what Rashawn just said. We'll close it out with this one. He says a lot of times the things that we need to do are super simple, right? But for some reason, it's just so hard to do it. Rashawn, you were not alone with that, right? So
so true.
That, and the thing that helps me out is, number one, being aware, and then number two, just having the discipline. Right. So just having the discipline and working on your discipline muscle in so many different ways. I'm at this challenge right now where for 30 days, I said, I'm not going to have any artificial sugar, or I'm going to minimize my artificial sugar. No rhyme or reason at all. Right. Just one day I just said, you know what? I'm just going to minimize my artificial sugar because it's another way of me exercising my discipline muscle. And it could be anything, right? I didn't have a doctor who said, hey, you need to stop your sugar intake, or I didn't see anything. It's just another way to exercise my discipline muscle, and exercise when I tell my mind that I'm going to do something. My mind doesn't say, but it knows, holy shit, I got to get in line. And because Ty just said, this is what we're going to do, we're going to do it. So that the mind does not say, it's just like going to the gym the other day. The body's tired, but Ty says, we got 3 minutes to get ourselves in place to stop this pity party here, to stop saying, oh, I got so many things to do. And we got to get our gym clothes on. We got to grab the keys without thinking about this stuff. We got to jump in the car and we got to head to the gym. So working on your discipline so that when you start to tell your mind something, your mind already knows, oh my God, this guy's a drill sergeant. Geez, I got to go in and do it. And by the same token, you can do this with having fun. So we were talking about going to the gym yesterday. Not gym. I still got gym on the mind. we were talking about going to the beach yesterday, and our properties at the beach are booked up, so we can't go there this weekend, right? So my wife's like, my daughter's summer. This is why it's so beautiful having kids around, because kids have no freaking limits, right? They're like, oh my God, we could just go book a hotel. And then automatically us adults, my wife and I, we're coming up with all of the obstacles. Oh my God, the internet. I've got an MMM call this weekend, right? The internet's going to be terrible. And my wife's like, do we want to go stay in a hotel? And it's going to be a pain finding one. We came up with all of the objections, and Summer's the one who comes up with all of the reasons why. Right? So listen to you.
She never needs to stop that attitude. It's a great one, isn't it?
100%. It's being
really
realistic, right?
Yeah.
Or is it being realistic? Which one is it? Unrealistic or realistic?
Well, realistic, isn't it?
It's being realistic. There you go. All right, guys. We'll see you. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday. All right. Stay well.
Monday, everyone.
Control those thoughts. You are the most powerful person on the planet. Remember when our guest Tom Bill came in and he said, this is something that stuck with me. I've been thinking about this over and over and over again. He said that Steve Jobs would be willing to give everything that he had, because he's no longer with us, right? His billions of dollars worth of net worth to be in any one of our bodies. Whether you're 80 years old and you're watching this, he would give everything that he had to come back and be in your 80-year-old body for, Tom said, a couple of days, right? Who here agrees with that? He would be in, if there's someone that's watching this and you have cancer, he'd be willing to come back and give everything that he has to be in that body that has cancer, to be in my body that has sickle cell anemia, right? To be in the body that maybe you can't, you could barely get around, right? Maybe you know that you have negative thoughts that interfere on a regular basis. He would give everything that he had to be able to come in and get access to your body for just a few days. So with that said, treat your body as beautifully as you possibly can. And remember your worth. You are the most valuable thing on this planet. The absolute most powerful. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you.
Beautiful. Thank you. See you, everyone. See you Monday.
See you.
See you Monday. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one.
Great.